Hello, namaste. Happy New Year to everybody. Oh, it's so good to see you all. It all of a sudden feels like it's been forever since we met. It was just last year. Welcome. Let me just take you in a moment to let everyone join. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see everyone. I'll just take a moment and say, I don't know if Happy New Year is what I want to say. May it be happy. May we be happy. May all beings be happy. But most of all, may we all be balanced, and may we all find a new way of balancing and new way. May this difficult or tumultuous year of 2020 have been an ally that with a little hard love may have pushed us to change things that we've been meaning to change, and may we be in a new place now. May we be stronger now. May it has made us better to be stronger and to live with less and with less planned. With that said, and before I go on to any further wishes for this year to come, for this days to come, I'm going to open sacred space, giving some space for everyone to slowly join in. So I invite you in this gathering to shift into sacred space, to shift your attention. I will be talking about this today because it is a part of my plan to talk about shift of attention, and first attention and second attention, according to the shamans. First attention is where we live in our everyday life, where in first attention, Nina and I set up the lights and the camera and brought up the chair and everyday life, mundane things. And second attention is when we raise our consciousness to other level and begin to, from there, track, understand more of the energies of things, understand more what's behind the scene, and really rise up to the shamanic frequency of things. I used to call it metaphysical, and now I know that there is no such thing as metaphysical. It was, I guess, a good word they used in the 60s and the 70s. But let's open sacred space and take a dive in it. So in that, you are the one. When we're opening sacred space, it is to each and every one of us to make that shift of awareness within and to come from another place, as then we all come back to the circle, to come from that place of reverence, of acceptance for everyone that is present, admiring everyone that is present, and having a sense of affection for everyone that is present. I invite you to find a more comfortable seat. Close your eyes, bring your attention inward. To the winds of the south, beloved Amaru, great serpent, be here with us. Wrap your coils of light around us and teach us how to shed our skin and let go of the past. Teach us how to feel Mother Earth, belly to belly, like you feel her. To feel her as a living being that nourishes us, as a living being that is our true mother. Be here, serpent, awaken us. Horpichai. To the winds of the west, Otorongo, great Jaguar, pace around each and every one of us, pace in the ethers between us, connect us, like you walk over the rainbow, connecting this world with the other world, with the spirit world. Be here, allow us to make those transitions, allow us to learn how to move from first attention to second, from this world to the spirit world. Most of all, beloved Jaguar, teach us how to be courageous. Allow your heartbeat to echo in our heartbeat so we can feel your strength and your courage. Horpichai. To the winds of the north, beloved Colimbri, hummingbird, beloved ancestors, be here. Hummingbird, teach us the way of sweetness. Teach us how to bring sweetness, to replace any bitterness we've ever had in our life with sweetness. So our predisposition is of sweetness. And beloved ancestors, shamans, yogis, and martial artists, Taoists, be here. Allow for what is said, what is heard, what is transmitted to be your knowledge, knowledge of what it means to be human and how we can achieve an optimal state of being. So our experience is an extraordinary experience. We bow to you, ancestors. Horpichai. Into the winds of the east, great condor, fly above, spiral upward, take us with you to rise above, teach us how to rise above and see the greater picture of our own life. From there, make a better informed decisions. Teach us how to feel and remind us that we're always connected with the divine, like you always are, flying wing to wing with a great one. Horpichai. And Pacha Mama, Dulce Mamita, gracias por todos. Thank you, Mother Earth. Thank you, beloved Mother Earth, for giving us all the elements to create a body, all the elements to nourish a body, and a home to return our body when we leave. Thank you for your mountains, your rivers, your trees, your flowers, your vegetables, such overwhelming abundance of beautiful life. Thank you, Mother. Thank you for being such a sweet mother, such a real mother for us. May we awaken and begin to reverse the damage our ignorance and our arrogance has done to you. May we awaken to save our habitats and allow for us to live longer with you and on you. Thank you for holding us in this sacred space tonight, Pachamama. Horpichai. Yintitaita and Mama Kia, Father, Son, Grandmother Moon. Thank you, Father, Son, for sending your light so we all rise upward. Thank you for sending your light to warm Mother Earth so she creates, so she births. Thank you for sending your flame so we can burn old contracts. Thank you, Mama Kia, Grandmother Moon, for the quality of reflecting so we can look back and reflect on days or months and years. Thank you for your nourishing grandmother energy, your wisdom, your sweetness. Thank you for reminding us the sweetness of the girl, the beauty of the woman, the wisdom of the grandmother. May we be enlightened even in our darkest nights. Horpichai. And with both hands to your heart in Namaste and Anjali Mudra in prayer position, bow chin to your heart. Remember, in our gatherings, you are the guru. You are the yogi, you are the shaman, and then the martial artist. Bow to yourself because you are truly the teacher. You are the one in the door listening to the words, choosing which ones work for you and choosing which ones you will hold. Thank yourself for everything that you learn, everything that you do to heal yourself and to evolve yourself. And if you wish to, I invite you to, only if you wish to bow deeper to thank any god or goddess, saint or avatar that you walk with in everyday life. Inhalation and rise, opening your eyes and offer a namaste to everyone in our community and the tribe. Namaste, 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 namaste. So this has been a few days in the making with my beloved Nina and our dearest Megan, and setting up everything. Thank you to both of you. I want to share in this next 3 Dharma talks, I want to talk a little bit, I think that I'm going to talk about the idea of how we engage in life. And I think that perhaps is one of the biggest things that we all go through, or we all need to want to know, feel into. And what I mean by that is that I feel that we all come to life and we all are given, it feels like what we're giving. It's almost like we sit at a table and someone draws cards and we get the cards that we get. To a certain extent, At the beginning of life is that. To a certain extent, we're being given, we step into life with a personality. And when I say personality, I think that's really, really important to talk a little bit to that. I'm talking a predisposition of what we like and what we don't like, what we aspire to and what we'd rather avoid. There's already a predisposition when we come in for any one of us. Let me see here. I think if you all want to check and make sure that you are muted, or Megan, if you could do a mute all, I would appreciate it. There's something coming up. So on one hand, we all receive a predisposition and we come in with a personality. And I wanted to say for anyone who's a parent, especially if one or more, or if you have 2 or 3 children, you can see the difference in personalities and also recognize the personalities as we come in. Or even feeling for our own selves, for those of you who are not parents, it's like, I know a big part of who I am still today at 56, a kind of like predisposition of way of being, an attitude, I already had at 6. And that is what I refer to and what the shamans see and what the shamans of the Taoist shamans, the shamans of China talk about the meridians. So when we're born, let me pause here and say that all metaphysical schools, all schools of philosophy, of metaphysics, and of that look into where we're coming from and what life is about, all of the deepest mystical schools all delve into astrology, and I should say astronomy. The idea that the Chinese offer us, the creators of acupuncture and of martial arts, of Tai Chi, Qigong, Kung Fu, Shaolin, etc., is that when we're born, depending on the meridians of the sky, where the constellations are in the meridians of the sky, they give us a specific imprint in our own meridians of our own body. And that's what we're dealt with. And that's what we're given as a predisposition. That moment, there's an imprint of a way of being, of a way of feeling. I've shared this with some of you, but I know there's several people that are new here. So I want to bring it in. This was just a couple of sentences that I feel are really important and were at some point a huge aha in my life, in my discovery, and in my search in mysticism and an understanding of life itself. So when the meridians of the sky imprint the meridians in our body, what they're essentially imprinting is a predisposition in each and every organ. You've heard about meridians. We say the lung meridian, the kidney meridian, the liver meridian, et cetera, et cetera. All the vital organs have these lines that extend out to the extremities. And these lines, the meridians themselves, essentially give the balance or give that predisposition to each internal organ. Talking about emotions, talking about difficulties, kind of alluded to maybe it was a difficult year last year. Maybe we might have to worry about this year. Anything that we worry about, we're happy about, we get anxiety about, we get excited about, we get terrified about, all these, those adjectives, all these emotions that we feel are all born in our internal organs. They're all secreted. They're all chemicals that are secreted in our internal organs. And I'm not devaluing I'm not taking away from the value of feeling love when the heart is secreting its hormone, or when I'm feeling that happiness and the brain is filled with oxytocin and I'm feeling that high of love or chocolate, etc. But the essence is that at some level, nothing is metaphysical. At some level, everything that we know and we experience is absolutely physical. And that's, I feel, one of the biggest gifts I can share with everyone here, with everyone that comes to the Jaguar path and in our trainings or our talks. When I was diagnosed with 4th-stage cancer and I was given 90 days to live in 2003, all that was happening to me in a physical level. I wasn't experiencing, other than pain and other ailments that I was feeling around that. It wasn't that I was experiencing it physically. What really mattered mostly was how I was feeling psychologically. But that too, I came to find out, the fear I had, the panic, the despair, the loss, all that I was feeling psychologically, that I was feeling, my heart was feeling, that my brain had to process, all of that, in order for me, in order for anyone, any one of us to feel anything, it needs to be secreted within the body as a liquid, as a hormone, as a chemical, that then as it moves through the blood flow, it's creating that visceral sense of reality. When I'm in despair, I'm viscerally feeling despair. My body and my whole being is in despair. Or let me say in happiness, when I'm very happy, I just can't contain it. I'm like, I have a silly grin in my face and I'm walking almost with a skip. It's like, it's in my whole being, that happiness, the joy, etc. All the emotions, when they take over and when they're allowed to take over, or when they come in and take over. And that's really important to know, because that is a big part of our reality. And we tend, speaking the I never knew that to the extent that what I was feeling most of the times before my meeting with the shamans, before my beginning to work with the work I do now, before, let's say 20 years ago, what was happening to me was exactly that sensation, that it was happening to me. It was happening from the outside. And I was only obliged to participate. I was never asked. I was just served in life, whatever I was served. And that was true because I didn't have a sense of direction, and I didn't have a sense of or a knowledge that I do have a say and I can make things change, and I absolutely can drive my life. Is there a bigger picture of life and death? Yes, there is. There's a bigger picture of life and death, but there's millions of minutes and seconds and instances and just moments that I am there and I can actually do something to change my fate, if you want. And that I'm really happy that I've discovered, because according to hospital in Athens, Greece, in 2003, I had 3 months of life. And according to John Hopkins, a year later, I had 3 months of life. And according to me, it's 17 years have passed, and I have a lot of more 17 and 17 and 17 years coming ahead. So the fate that was offered to me by scientists, and I'm not putting them down, what they saw and what they diagnosed was really legitimate in relationship to all that they had as information in their hands. But my life was not in their hands. My life, I realized, could be in my hands. And I feel very much, I'm just feeling this very much lately. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the life I have. And one of the things that I've realized, many people say, oh, you're lucky, now you live in Costa Rica. Luck has nothing to do with it. Sense of clarity and sense of what needs to be sacrificed and when has a lot to do with it. Discipline, in other words, what I decide to do, what I can let go of, what I have to let go of in order to make a next move or a next move. And way of being has everything to do with it. And with that, I'm saying is that when we step into a yoga practice, when we stepped into doing shamanic work and learning shamanic tools, what we're really doing, or when we step in and we start doing martial arts, Tai Chi, Qigong, Kung Fu, Shaolin, any of the martial arts, all stemming from China, from the Taoist monasteries. What I'm doing is I'm stepping in and saying, okay, I'm assuming responsibility. I'm going to co-pilot my life. Let me not step into hubris and into blasphemy and say, I totally pilot my life. And they say I can and do co-pilot my life. I have a big say, and I will do my best on my side to meet with the destiny line that unfolds, or to actually shift the destiny line if I can do that. And that I did, and I know, and many of you already on the screen have done. And I see a couple of people smiling that I know have gone through difficult moments. And those difficult moments that for me back then, and I know for some of you that I recognize and remember your difficult life stories, is that it was the worst thing that happened to me. But guess what? If you ask me now, it's absolutely the best thing that happened to me. When I was pulled out of my life, out of the life that I thought I wanted, out of the life that I decided when I was 20, when I decided to be a photographer. And there I was still at 40, and I was living a life that a younger Ray, a younger version had chosen. It was definitely the best thing that ever happened to me. To sum it up, or to this point, in essence, when we say that you step into yoga, martial arts, or shamanism, and that includes a lot. When I say shamanism, this includes a lot. It includes Sufism, it includes Kabbalah, it includes all the mystical paths. When you go into this mysticism, and you go behind the scenes, in other words, you are basically saying that I am stepping forward to assume responsibility and become the co-creator. And at the same time, you're also saying I am stepping forward to let go of my personality self, that I've learned at home, at school, and in the neighborhood, that the collective consciousness wants me to be, or where I stand in front of the collective consciousness. And it's scary. I was talking with a friend, and actually I have this with Miten. And there's an interview that you may have already seen that I had with Miten a couple months ago, from Deva Primal and Miten. And Miten says is that I said, you reach the edge, right? And then it's you have to push beyond your edge. And Miten says, no, you reach the edge and then you have to jump off the edge. And that is so truly more accurate, because when we reach the point of the edge of our personality and we want to go beyond, when we want to actually evolve, the only problem with evolving, and the only reason we're not evolving, or the humanity isn't evolving, I mean, Christ was here 2,000 years ago, Buddha was here 3,000 years ago, so many enlightened ones have been here, yet humanity is by far not enlightened. No judgment, just facts. By far not enlightened. We're still, according to Krishnamurti, we're still Neanderthals, just with weapons instead of rocks. Same thing. But the only thing that's holding us back is our own self. And it's funny. It's a little bit of it's a paradox. It's a paradox, because I want to evolve, and guess who's holding me back from evolving? I am holding myself back from evolving. So it's a little bit it gets a little tricky. There is a moment though, when I say that I'm stepping into, come back to this, is when I'm stepping into yoga, shamanism, martial arts, I'm stepping in to voluntarily come into a discipline where I'm disciplining my mind, my thoughts. I'm putting the patterns of my thoughts and behaviors in check through a system. And this system allows me to have a list, even if you want, what's called a spreadsheet, where I check daily my habits and make sure that I am now learning what habits to let go of, what habits to bring in, and those that I'm bringing in, the practices that I make sure I check every day. And slowly, I'm first of all teaching the body, because all of our patterns and all of our trauma are in the body itself. I mean, in the West, I think, just in that sentence, I think, in the West, we all think that, we all think a lot, first of all, in the West. So we're all thinking. And every now and then we say, oh, I'm in love and I'm feeling love, where there's a puppy or the cat, oh, I'm feeling love. The essence is that we're not thinking, and the whole life experience is not a thinking experience, even though we're all stuck and trapped many times, totally, totally basically trapped in our thought patterns. We are so trapped that there might be years, months, that we have the same thought over and over and over again. Has that ever happened to anyone? Let me see hands so I can see if this is true. Right? I can be having a thought, and this thought I've had of an event that may have happened 3 years ago, is at this moment fictional. Not only have I changed 5 countries and changed who I am and where I'm at, etc. If I'm thinking of something that happened 3 years ago in another country with other people that are not around me, etc., I'm living in a fictional world. I'm living in a fictional world. And it's a fictional world I love. And it's a fictional world that I love because it contains a few emotions that have been secreted by some of my internal organs, and my body has really gotten used to those secretions. And it's my fix. I'll just say it. It's my fix. Even when we get angry, there's a certain satisfaction we feel when we get angry. There's absolute satisfaction. It's like we say, I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be upset. But then we find so many reasons to be so right that almost is equal as the funny thing, the paradox. That I'm so right that I have to be upset. So you can be right and not be upset. I can be right and not be upset. Or I can be and let go of some thoughts. But the only way to let go of the thoughts, because now I'm addicted to these thoughts, because I'm addicted to the emotions that they create. And if you take a moment and you step back through the practices and you come back into a meditation and you notice, or if you start taking notes and journaling perhaps, you'll see that there's a pattern of when you get angry. It's like, oh, every Thursday afternoon I'm angry. Every Tuesday morning I'm more like a little bit sad. And sometimes Wednesdays, the third week of the month, I cry. And if I do take note, it will be for all of us. You will find these patterns. And in the meantime, throughout all of this, the essence is that I think that it's still happening to me. That thought of what happened and what really upset me, what I wasn't planning that morning 3 years ago, that was kind of hurtful, that thought is repeating and it's really not happening. It didn't happen this morning or yesterday morning or the morning before or the last 1,000 mornings. It did not happen, yet I'm still thinking about it. So stepping into yoga means I'm finding a way to go and grab that thought and take it out. Because in the meantime, as I was saying, I still feel that life is happening to me. I still feel that someone hurt me because they said something and I was counting on it and then it didn't happen. And I'm now feeling that it's happening from the outside to me. It's only happening inside. And the only thing happening inside is what I choose to engage with. Because the other thing that is really important to know about life is that we only have one attention, and that's not a whole one attention either. Our attention and our attention span are very, very limited. So when I'm thinking of that thought that of something that I didn't like, I'm using up my attention. And there might be 16 trains and 10 buses and 5 beautiful sailboats that I just missed because I'm in there still suffering about something that I didn't like. I'm replaying an old tape. It's like I'm sitting here in 2021 and I'm watching VHS tapes of something that it's not even fiction anymore. It's VHS. So the practices themselves are in all these schools are physical, because our lack of ability to evolve is a lack of the ability of that person. And I'm not saying this judgmentally, but I'm saying it realistically. It's almost like that drug that I feel when I'm secreting a hormone in my blood flow. This blood flow is going to eventually feed every single cell of my body. So as I feed every single cell of my body, my cells, depending on what I'm feeding it, begin to create these little mouths that are called receptors that are able to actually take that food. So if I'm feeding myself 3 times a week anger, 2 times a week despair, and 1 time a week falling apart, and 6 times a week laughing, et cetera, whatever, my cells have created receptors for these emotions. And exactly, if someone is taking some kind of medication or some kind of drug, slowly, the cells create these receptors. You have to have the receptors, because only the receptors can have that shape of the molecule to intake that molecule. And when I've created all these receptors I imagine them like these little birds that are waiting home for mom to come, and they have their mouths open and they're like that. On Tuesday afternoons, my anger receptors are going, I need to be angry, I need to be angry. And something happens. A plate fell down and broke, uh, because I'm thinking, because I'm trying unconsciously to find something to be upset about. And there it is. I found my reason, or someone came and said something, or someone didn't say it right, someone didn't do it right. The reason to be upset and angry is presented in a millisecond. And there I am again, really right, very upset, and I'm reliving it. And while I'm doing that, there is no judgment, because even there's no judgment of being angry or being angry at someone else. There's moments that these things, that all the emotions we have, even then hard emotions, difficult or negative emotions, they have their function and they're very normal. So there's nothing bad about that. It just defines us. So coming back, so there's no judgment, but there's a defining moment that while I'm trying to evolve, I will never evolve. I won't let myself evolve, because Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons, I want to be angry. And, if you look at the Buddha, if you look at the Christ, if you look at Shiva, the enlightenment means that they don't necessarily get angry, or they don't get angry at least every Tuesday and every Thursday. So I want to talk a little bit about when I met the medicine wheel in my life. When I traveled into Peru, one of the things that Don Francisco, who I hold dearly in my heart, and soon we will be together on Zoom. I will definitely send an email out to everyone. The first thing he told me is that you are in this place of dis-ease and despair because you have lost your direction of life. You're headed out of life because you're not headed into life. And I didn't even know what he talked about. And he started explaining to me about the medicine wheel and the directions. The south, where the serpent is, the west, the jaguar, and the north, the hummingbird, the east, the condor. He began to give me a mythology that has finally become beyond mythology, has become ideology, has become chemistry within me, has become a practical understanding of what is actually happening in the physical realm around me and my body. What are the governing energies that exist? And one of the first things that basically I had to tend to was, of course, my physical body, because I had stage 4 cancer that was in both my kidneys and had spread to my liver and my lungs. And according to John Hopkins, when I said, well, what do you think I should do? They said, you should take care of your affairs. I still do every day. I take care of my affairs every day. And a lot of times Nina helps me in some of them, and I help her in some of hers too. And Megan too, and we all, and the allies, and you Jaguars, we help each other take care of our affairs. It's the most important thing in life, daily. So I traveled south to meet the serpent, and I went into the jungle, and I want to share a little bit today about my beloved teacher, my late teacher, Maestro Panduro. When I met Maestro Panduro, I was dying, and nothing in me, in my wildest imaginations, would ever imagine that I would outlive him, or that I would be in Peru, where I still go every year. And when I go down into the jungle where I would worked with Panduro, in the malocas, in these wooden, they're like, it's almost like bungalows, if you would call them, in the jungle on stilts. Now I go and I'm leading, I'm sitting at his seat, actually the physical chair he would sit, where I would sit next to him in the beginning as a student, and then as a assistant, if you want. So with sweet memory and some sadness, but the sadness is for me, for not having him around, not for him. He lived in the spirit world more than he lived in this world. Maestro Panduro was an ayahuasquero. Ayahuasqueros are the shamans that work with ayahuasca. And I'm going to speak to it a little bit because generally speaking, I avoid speaking about it. And I'll say why as a disclaimer. I don't think every single person on the planet has to do ayahuasca or should do ayahuasca. I don't think you need to. Anyone here tonight needs to do ayahuasca. It abundance here in Costa Rica. It's easy for me to find it at any given moment, and it's something I choose not to do. And if I, from spirit, am asked to do a ceremony, I will, but I'm not. At the moment, though, at the time, more than 14 years ago, it was demanded, or it was a beautiful gift that came into my life. Now, the only person holding me back was myself, and including with that, and this is a little tricky, and I want to be very careful with my languaging, so please add a little, take it with a bit of salt, and know that I'm not coming from a place of judgment. I'm not judging Ray because I was feeling so afraid. I was feeling so scared. I was feeling so devastated. I was feeling so lost. I was feeling guilty because I hadn't maybe perhaps done enough to have changed my fate, etc. So I don't think that the person that's in dis-ease should take any guilt or negative sense of responsibility. But for me, there came a big gift going down this river that is called the River Madre de Dios. I flew down to a town called Puerto Maldonado, the port of Maldonado. The port of Maldonado is just muddy banks. There's no port, there's no cement, it's just mud. And there's planks and men and women carrying things on the planks on long boats going down into the jungle. Puerto Maldonado is 2 hours away from the borders of Bolivia and Peru in the southeast. Going down the river, it felt really scary. It's a big river, it's a fast river, and you see nothing. It's a muddy, murky river, and I don't even know what's in there. I was more afraid that I was going to die going down the river than I would end up dying from cancer. When I arrived there, I was more afraid of why had I even gone down there, because when I arrived down there, I noticed that person that I saw, I thought that most likely that was a shaman, and he was talking to another person that I said, most likely that was the manager of this place, someone that was kind of like manager that was welcoming people. And I saw them looking at me and talking about me, what looked obviously talk about me with very little interest to none at all. And I felt more despair because I traveled there and I thought that if I would meet this person, Maestro Paduro, that something would change. And I felt that lack of acceptance. My ego was like, he didn't see me and light up. He saw me and then he turned to talk to someone else and walked kind of away. So a few hours later, though, we were sitting together and I said, I've come here. Several people have talked to me about you, and I really would love to work with you. And as I'm beginning to tell them what's happening to me, I'm beginning to get into the emotion. I have a 2-year-old son who is going to live without a father. I don't know if I'm ever going to make it out of this jungle. They've given me 90 days and more than a year has passed and I'm still alive and I don't know why and how. And as I'm telling the story, I am now beginning to cry. And as I'm telling the story, now I'm on my knees and I'm crying loudly, really in pain of losing everything. And that more of all, that was like the regret of like, how could I have lived my life differently and not lead myself to cancer? Was it the smoking, living in a very polluted city like Athens, Greece? Was it my bad eating or not having studied how to eat, etc.? And as I was crying, or I should be honest, I was wailing, Maestro Pandura looked down at me with next to an emotion or what looked like a facial expression of like total, what's the word I'm looking for? Like disregard. He just could not care less. And he looked down at me and within a few seconds, like I'm feeling it, but I'm still engrossed in my emotion. And he turns around, he looks down at me and he says, you know what? I don't care about my emotions. what makes you think that I'm going to care about your emotions? And I was devastated. I don't know what I was that moment. I still don't know. I was, what's the word? I was like frozen. It's like, wait, this did not make sense at all. There's a man on his knees saying, I'm dying, save me, or I'm losing my son, I'm losing life, etc. And this person, all from everything that this person could say, who was a healer, according to what I've heard, what he chose to say is that I don't care about my emotions. What makes you think I'm going to care about your emotions? And I'm going to pause just for a second there, because it was a pause and a half for me. It was just like, it just stopped everything. All of a sudden, like I froze, my tears stopped. I got up off my knees and started wiping my face. And I was experiencing anger. I was experiencing disappointment. I was experiencing, I was trying to find words to probably tell him how wrong he is, or what is wrong with you? Why are you even saying that to a dying person that's come? But so I'm going to pause there and say, remember that he said, I don't care about my emotions. What makes you think that I will care about your emotions? And the pause is just to go back and feel into what I was saying, that emotions are chemicals secreted throughout the whole body that we do get used to, if not addicted to, that when these emotions or these chemicals are really secreted in bigger volumes, they essentially hijack our whole system. They hijack our whole nervous system. They bring back electricity to our adrenals and our amygdala. We come into a state of fight or flight. We lose access to the prefrontal cortex and the heart space. We lose access to compassion. We lose access to kindness, to love. We lose access to sympathy. We lose access to intuition. We lose access to our relationship with the divine. So what I heard is, I don't care about you, Ray. But 16 years later, 14 years later, it's really clear to me what he said is what he said. I don't want to hear what you're secreting in your body. And the turn that he did, which I will be forever indebted to him for and grateful for and love him for. Actually, Panduro, his name means hard bread. So he was like more like amor duro. He was hard love and hard bread. Everyone loved him for that. He was just a hard man. He was just hard. He was just very hard because he lived in the jungle. He grew up in the jungle. He did nothing. There was nothing forgiving, nothing giving. And he became a healer of many before he left. But as I'm trying to find the words and say, what on earth are you talking about? You're not a shaman. You're not a healer. You're not going. I don't even know what I was trying to say. But fact is, I was cleaning my nose with wiping my tears. And I'm like looking at him now like this. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, okay, Ray, let's go and do this work. I feel you're ready to do the work now. Let's go and do it. I love you, Panduro. I love you. I will always love you, because that's the work. That's the discipline. That to wake up and do yoga at 6 a.m. is discipline. To wake up and do yoga by not eating meat for 30 days or forever is discipline. It's besides what my emotions say. My emotions may say, oh, I really want to sleep in. Or my emotions say, oh, I really want a burger. My emotions might want to say, I want to have a drink and dance with my friends. There's nothing wrong with all of these above, yet they will perpetuate personality. They will perpetuate an emotional world that I live in, that I'm trapped in. And actually, even more so, they're going to perpetuate that when I'm not in discipline and I'm eating what the collective consciousness is eating, when I'm drinking, when I'm in the sleeping and awakening rhythms of where the collective consciousness is, when I watch the same television shows and I end up having the same patterns and rhythms, I have become a part of the collective consciousness. And at that point, I do think life is happening to me, because in some way I gave way. I let go. I said, yeah, that's what everybody does. Everybody eats gluten. I'll eat gluten. And there's no judgment. There is no judgment, but there is a moment of choice. And of course, I mean, I send so much love to that young man, the 40-year-old Ray that was there and was losing his life. I didn't know that I would come out of that jungle. There was clear thought that that was so stupid that I was there, because they would throw me in a ditch and no one would even know that I had ever arrived there, let alone where my whereabouts. Yet I'm grateful that I did. I went beyond myself. I passed the borders of what I felt was safe. I jumped off the edge and I moved down. And then if you want, out of the collective consciousness, which essentially what's happened after industrialism and the technological revolution, is we've given way, and it's not lineage anymore. It's more just collective consciousness, right? Because lineage is a path that has specific practices that are healing and empowering, that give specific traditions of practices that are healing, empowering, liberating, bring us closer to the divine, allow the divine to spring within us, and allow for happiness, allow for compassion, allow for us to care for others and to help also others. Actually heal to the point where we're done with healing ourselves. And from where, in the beginning, when I started the South and I had to do the whole medicine wheel, I was like, please help me, right? But when you do the whole medicine wheel and you heal all these 4 aspects of the self in relationship to, first, the South in a relationship to Mother Earth, to I belong here, then to the West in relationship to the self. I am okay. I am struggling. I am learning. I am evolving. To the North, when relationship to sweetness of life, and to relationship rather with relating to others, and then going to the East in a relationship with the divine. And when you go through the medicine wheel and you've healed these aspects of self and relating to, you find yourself in the center of the medicine wheel, which is the healed state of being. And from where I was saying, please help me, I'm drowning, I'm dying, I need help, I'm lost. When we come into the center, you say at that point, how can I help you? How can I help you? And that truly becomes what is the most interesting part. And where then we tap into lineage, we tap into the more evolved self. And what's happened essentially through the practices of yoga, shamanism, and martial arts, and there's other practices and many gods and goddesses that are all involved and welcome. But for me, these have been, and I think there are the 3 major practices on the planet, prehistorically, shamanism, that gave birth to yoga, that gave birth to martial arts, to the Taoists, right? And the yogis. At that moment, I only then have I taken the wheel and I am driving my life. And I am, if anything, co-piloting my life. It's not just happening to me, but rather I'm happening to it. The medicine wheel and stepping into the healed state of being says that you assume responsibility. And when I assume responsibility, I'm beginning to see and beginning to touch into how can I make those changes happen? And those changes, again, are first of all in the physiology of the body. If I can't change habits of my body, if I can't let go of some foods, if I can't let go of, could have been smoking or drinking or eating, whatever that intake, because when we come here, we're fascinated with all this, the physicality of this, because we're beings, we're light beings, right? And when we all of a sudden acquire a physical body and things slow down and we have more time to pay attention to them and, feel them, feel that squeeze, feel that stretch. It's fascinating for the spirit. And as it is fascinating for the youngster to say, oh my God, I smoked. And it was, we smoked in the parking lot. Woo. But then that turns into, we had a beer in the parking lot, or it turns into this or this or this or that. And it kind of like turns into, mostly because we're primates, it turns into mostly I do what I see around me, and then I become what is around me, and I become part of the collective consciousness. So switching from the idea of entering into the world of yoga or stepping into the medicine wheel is that I step into the responsibility of healing myself. I assume responsibility and I begin to do the work. And I want to say no one can do it for you. No one can do it for me. But that's half the truth, because there was Panduro and, I did the work. I had to get there, but he taught me things. And here I am. And if there's a hand of help that I can reach out, or specific practices I can prescribe, I'll be more than happy to. So, and there's teachers out there, for those who want, and there's not me 99, there's hundreds, there's thousands of teachers that offer. And you are the guru, not I or Nina or Megan. We're not the gurus. You are your guru. And I think that's one of the biggest things to step in. When you step into the center into the medicine wheel and you begin to move your way around and spiral all the way to your center, you are the one leading yourself. You are the one healing. You're the one offering the sacrifices, sacrificing things you loved, things your body wanted, and now you're not doing. I'm not our neighbors here, Deva, Premal, and Miten, who live literally next door to us. I did another interview with Deva Premal, and I said, so please check it out. It's on the website, it's on YouTube, or reach out with an email if you can't find it. And I said, so are you disciplined? Because I think discipline is a key word, right? To be a disciple and enter into discipline, to change the way you are, instead of being a victim or being out of control or everything's happened to you. You say, no, I'm becoming a student. I register in this discipline and I'm a disciple of this. And now I'm beginning to find my way out. But she had a really nice comeback and she said, you know what? No. Miten and I we're not disciplined at all. We just like to contribute to love. We just like to make sure that everything we do, at any moment we're doing anything, saying anything, to make sure that that is a contribution to love. And I found that to be beautiful. And of course, the truth is, knowing them after being in quarantine for 11 months here together, they are disciplined, because they do practice every day and they do the mantras every day. And there is a discipline within that. It's just easy. And what I want to say also, because I'm not a strict person, and those of you who have studied with me for years know that. Chinese medicine says one bad thing a week. And it says that because if you always keep on becoming so rigid, then you just want to let go of everything and just, say the hell with the practice. And I'm going to go back to my previous life, and which is more enjoyment. So with one bad thing a week, and the I Ching says limitation to the limitations. And the Jaguar path says 3 bad things a week. Hell with it. Have an ice cream once a week, and whatever that may be, bad in quotes. The idea of the medicine wheel, again, is to move towards 4 directions. All of reality is in relationship to. If we were born, if I or you were born in the middle of the universe and I was an eyeball and the only thing I could do is see, I would never know who I am. I was born in a body in relationship to my mother and my father. Then I quickly realized that I am a brother of a sister who's 3 years older than me. And later I realized that I am a cousin and a nephew. And then I realized I was a student. And then I was a teacher. And then I was a photographer. And then I was a friend. In other words, I am all of my relations. I am in how I relate to things. I exist in relationship to. If I was in a cave for 20 years, I could quickly forget, or I might forget. But the idea is, if I'm born and put in a cave, I will know nothing else. I will be just a caveman. I won't have that more access to the personality. And so the idea of the Medicine wheel is that we heal our relationships towards four directions. The relationship to earth is the south, that I beginning to feel that I belong. It's really first chakra work, serpent work. Then if I exist and I know that I belong to the earth, then I move into sorry, I'm checking out notes. Thank you for the messages you're sending, and thank you, Megan, for picking them up. Moving to the south in relationship to the earth and I am, the I amness itself. Then moving to the west, Jaguar is about realizing the relationship to myself. Who am I and who do I want to be? What are the ways that I want to be in life? Then moving to the north is relationship with others. How do I relate with others? How do I keep those relationships in what we call in Quechua, aina aini, in correct relationship, in balance, right? Because only if I have aini in my relationships, in balanced relationships, will they be nourishing rather than hindering me. And then when we move to the east, with Condor, what is my relationship with the divine? Now note that I have this compass that has four directions, and that's a cross. And then the absolute, when I come all the way and I've done all those, I slip into the center. And the moment I slip into the center of this cross of the four cardinal directions, I then create an axis. And that axis is my relationship to Mother Earth, my feet, and Father Sun through my crown. And when I have, so these are two crosses, right? The cross is on the horizontal level and the cross on the vertical level. And when I find that I have now become 3D in the center, the real center of this double cross is my heart, is when I belong to this earth and I'm related to the material as equally as I belong to the divine, and I'm relating to the divine and divinity and the unseen in equal parts. And when I am in this place where I'm spirit ray and matter ray equally, I tend to my spiritual practices and to my material needs equally. Then I live in the heart, and when my heart knows how to relate to being here on earth, to being with a self and a personality, to being with others, and to being with the divine, then I've created a perception and a way of being, or where I'm coming from, and where things meet me that are a healed state of being. Dis-ease and death comes to all. Our Christ died, and our Buddha died, and and Mother Mary died. But in my next round of dying, I will die very differently than I was dying last time in 2003 and 2005. And that's, I feel, one of the most important things also to realize, that it's about how we live and how we die. Shamans live and die differently than the collective. And we have the opportunity to live an extraordinary life while it's happening. And we have the opportunity to live a unique death while it's happening, to be more in the hands and the arms and the company of angels, and the company of beautiful energies that hold us, that we live life without fear and we die death without fear. And that allows us for a very, very different experience. So medicine wheel, healing the self in all aspects of relations. I am in gratitude today. I offer this to Maestro Panduro, a teacher that is deeply rooted in my heart, and I will always be grateful to. I hope that it inspires your heart, and in many ways is useful to your evolution. You know where to find us if you want more. Next month, there you go. Thank God for everyone around me. Next month, the first Monday of every month, we have a Dharma Talk. And oh yes, for those of you who haven't, we also are doing the 9-month training. This is the last week of registrations. We've done the 2 sessions, but there's a way to catch up and join us for this weekend on. So if that's something that interests you, check it out, the Jaguar path. thank you all for being here. Thank you for being a part of my life and my Dharma. Much appreciation and gratitude. Namaste and Horpichai. Horpichai. Sweetness and love to all. Thank you so much. Good night. And Jaguars, I'll see you at the share circle in a few minutes. Thank you all. Good night.
Horpichai.
Horpichai, so good to see you.
See you soon.
Horpichai, thank you.
Horpichai.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Ray.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you.